Welcome to Happy Talks with Dr. Alice and Donovan. Dr. Alice Fong is a holistic naturopathic doctor and founder of Amor de Soi Wellness, and Donovan Jensen is a software engineer and founder of HowToHappy.com. Together, they're out to cause more happiness in the world.
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
All right. So today, in the face of all the chaos going on in the world about the coronavirus, we decided to make today's Happy Talks episode about ways or what you can do when you're feeling lonely, or the thing going on right now seems to be social isolation or social distancing, which I have issues with that term. Just because you have to keep a physical distance doesn't mean you can't socialize. So we're gonna maybe throw out some ideas and just discuss what that looks like. So Donovan, what are your thoughts about this whole thing?
I actually would like to hear your thoughts, because I mean, we talked a little bit before, and you have some opinions that you want to share. So I'd like you to go first, and then I'll layer what I've got on top of that.
That sounds like a plan, because I do certainly have a lot of opinions about this. And my thinking is that my little soapbox is I don't like that it's called social isolation or social distancing, because that seems very depressing in a lot of ways and really sad. And yes, the world is slowing down. We a lot of things are closed or canceled, and that's really disappointing and heartbreaking. But it doesn't mean we have to be sad all by ourselves in our homes. And with the beauty of technology today, that there is so many different ways to connect and socialize and still be at home alone, but we're not alone. And with Zoom calls and with social media and all the technology that we have available, I think this is an opportunity for us to take the time to reconnect with people in our lives at a distance through phone or Zoom or FaceTime, whatever it looks like.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good things in there. My first thoughts about it are kind of in the realm of, yes, we should probably not just be going and interacting in large gatherings and whatnot like usual, but a lot of the tight, really close connections don't need giant group gatherings, right? Like you were saying, we can kind of focus on some of those relationships in one-on-one time or very small group time, and then really hone in on those. And yes, it may be a little bit of a disruption for people who really enjoy going out to those big events or clubs or whatever the things are where there are usually many people, but there are still plenty of ways to interact with other humans, right? It's not like you have to completely just close off everything and never talk to anyone. There are still many, many routes to get the social connection that most of us need. And the other part of that is, it's not like you have to do it forever, right? There is an end point. There is, at some point, things will go back to normal. It's not like this is how life is forever now. So part of it is just mentally getting your head around, okay, I'm going to have to take some different avenues in the short term.
Right. No, I agree. I think, people get caught up in this hysteria of all of this with the stockpiling and the preparing for the apocalypse is what it feels like right now. And it is more about preventing hospitals from overflowing, because we don't have enough hospital beds for everyone if everyone got it at the same time. And although the virus itself, most people are probably gonna make it through, but the people at risk, like the elderly or the people who have a compromised immune system, that's who we're out to protect. And yeah, even if we were to get it, because eventually I think most people are probably going to get this. That's the reality of the situation. But right now, why we are doing this distancing thing is to prevent everyone getting it at the same time. That would overload the hospitals, and we wouldn't be able to handle that. Like, you look at Italy, they're definitely overwhelmed, and yeah, they have to make some tough calls for the people that do acquire more serious symptoms. So the actual virus itself, I don't think is that scary, but it's the actual like impact on the hospitals that is the scary thing. Yeah.
So I know I have been working from home for the last little bit. I don't know if you have been as well, but I'd be curious if there are some things that you found, like some tools or some different exercises or whatever that are helpful for you as you increase the amount of time at home.
Yeah, I feel fortunate in that, you know, I've been already before this whole crisis took place, I was already working towards being a mostly virtual practice anyways, because I like working from home. It gives me a lot more freedom and flexibility. And so I already have some virtual clients. So I was already set up to do virtual consults before this happened. But I know a lot of my colleagues who've never done it, now that's the only option that they can do for the next few weeks to a month or maybe longer. We're not sure. So as far as like disrupting my life, it hasn't been too bad because I already have been working at home. But it has given me time to kind of self-reflect, meditate a little more, and just really think about like what it is that I want to accomplish for myself. Because I feel like we do live in such a fast-paced world. We're always go, go, go. This, you know, is kind of like the silver lining. It's kind of slowing us down because everything is closed. So we can't be go, go, go. But I'm also like using this time to reflect on what I want to accomplish in my life, in my business, and to connect with people, reach out to people, have phone calls. Yeah, so for me, it doesn't feel like I'm alone, but I think I've utilized a lot of these things before this whole chaotic thing happened. So they were kind of already in place. Yeah.
So it sounds like you had some of the tools beforehand, but maybe one of the key takeaways or the best things in all of this is getting extra time or space to kind of reflect. And I've had that same experience as well in the last week or two, where things have slowed down significantly, and it's opened up a lot more time for me to reflect and think about, okay, this is not something that normally happens. I don't usually have this kind of space and time to kind of strategize about what I actually want. And I see pieces of my life getting, you know, shuffled around and turned off and turned on and kind of at the whims of the world. And it's been really nice for me to see, oh, like this thing that I was doing, I don't know if I want to keep doing that. And, you know, there's still all these other pieces that need to come back together. The world needs to come back into normalcy before some of these changes can be made. But it's a type of reflection that doesn't really happen normally, or at least is difficult because everything, like you said, is moving so fast. So I found that to be pretty nice. And considering it's going to be at least a month, a lot of time to really think about some of these things.
Yeah. And I think what's important is to, in the reflection process, I actually just the other day, I watched Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. I love him. Shout out to you, John. And he really helped explain, you know, the importance of this physical distancing, as I want to call it, not social distancing. But, you know, also giving us the space to, you know, it's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be disappointed or heartbroken that you didn't get to do something you were really looking forward to. You know, maybe my brother was supposed to get married this Friday and that's not going to happen, which is really, really, really sad. Not so much for me, but I just feel sad that they have to put off something that was really important that they've been working on developing for over a year, and now that has to be pushed back because of everything going on. So I think, you know, in that reflection space right now that we're all taking the time to do, I say there's a difference between expressing all the disappointment and sad feelings that you're feeling and just to kind of clear yourself of that so you can just get back to your gratitude for what you have in life and your appreciation for the doctors and the nurses that are fighting all of this on the front line. But, you know, it's okay to like be sad. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be disappointed and not dwelling on that, but just kind of like clearing it from your system. And then, you know, maybe I was thinking of like as an exercise, that we could do for our viewers. We could do an exercise of clearing ourselves of all our disappointments and our upsets and frustrations, just to get it out there. This is what actually John Oliver did for like 30 seconds. He was like, for 30 seconds, we're going to talk about all the things that we're frustrated or sad or disappointed about. And then he talked about like his sports team that was like so close to winning. Like they had such a huge lead, but now they don't get it complete because of that. And I was like, yeah, I think taking the space to just like spew out everything that's on our mind, all our frustrations, get it all out, and then go back to the second exercise would be, what are we thankful and grateful for? Or what are we grateful and thankful for? And just focusing on the gratitude for what we do have. So I'm not sure, Donovan, is this something, just bringing this up now with you, is that something you'd like to try out today?
Yeah, let's, can we holster that for like a little bit later?
Sure. Yeah, for sure. We can save it for the end.
Or at least until I get the couple ideas that came into my brain so I don't lose them.
Sure, totally.
But what I was thinking about kind of as you were talking through some of that stuff is like, it really does provide an opportunity. While some things may be delayed or canceled or whatnot, a good opportunity to really think about what's important. And like you're saying, be grateful for things, because, you know, some things like, oh, like my sports team isn't playing, right? That is kind of a bummer, but honestly, I don't know. For me, at least, my brain goes to like, oh, wow, things could be so much worse. Like the mortality of this thing could be like 90% somehow and still like super contagious. And then people would just be wiped out and everything would definitely be in a terrible place. That's how my mind works. It just goes to like, whoa, it could be the worst thing ever, but it's not. So like maybe people don't need to go to my extreme of things, but that for me has been very enlightening and very helped me focus, like back to the reflection piece, focus on, wow, there's just all these things that I take for granted all the time. And like, yes, there's been some disruption and it's significant, but it's not horrible. It's not good and it's not pleasant, but it just makes me think, oh, wow, there's so many things that are nice that are not broken right now. Okay, that's all I needed to get out of my system. We can switch into this exercise if you want, or any other topic.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. It gives you, we can't like just easily buy toilet paper or just go about our day. We don't necessarily have gratitude because it's just an everyday kind of a thing that we don't even think about. But then when that goes away, it's just like, oh man, and it'll come back and hopefully we'll reach normalcy eventually. But in the meantime, you know, it does make us appreciate the moments of like, oh yeah, I can go to my gym and not worry about it getting canceled or things like that. So yeah, agreed. So the first thing I was thinking, the two exercises or just processes, the main purpose of expressing, you know, our disappointment and frustrations is not to be all consuming in the negativity of all of this and complaining about everything, but just to like, actually, it's okay to validate your feelings of disappointment and frustration and heartbreak over things that you're missing out on. So yeah, I'll start. Things that I'm disappointed, because I do have some things that this has disrupted my life in a few ways, and I just want to get it out so I could just like move on and focus on what matters to me. And so something that I'm really sad or disappointed or frustrated about is, missing my brother's wedding that was supposed to be this Friday. That's a big thing I'm really sad about. And that not only his wedding has to be postponed, but that winery has to deal with all these weddings that have to be rearranged, and we don't know how long or when that date is going to be, and how many people that have to cancel or postpone all these major life events, weddings or graduations or anything major that is really, really heartbreaking in my mind. And today I found out, which I don't know if it seems like a big deal to many people, but it is a big deal for me. But I just found out today that I've been going to CrossFit like off and on for a few years, but like starting at the beginning of this year, I've been like really good and consistent about it, going 5 days a week. And I got to the point where I actually look forward to my workout and rather than like dread it, being like, oh, this is the thing I just have to do and get it out of the way. No, it's like something I look forward to because of the community and, my coaches, and just the environment of it is a great space for me to kind of like decompress from my life and just feel good in my body and my mind. And now they have to close starting tomorrow, and that just disrupts my life and my health and my well-being. And I'm still going to work out, but I'm going to work out from home, which is just not as motivating. I don't push myself as hard when I'm working out on my own. So that's really disappointing. And the other heartbreak that I have is just for small businesses all around the world, and that it's really going to impact so many different types of businesses. And I don't know, especially for the ones that might not be able to survive like this pandemic, because we don't know how long it's going to go. And yeah, that's really disappointing. So okay, I feel good. so now you can go. Donovan, what are you disappointed about? The main thing I want to get across is that there's nothing, even if it's like some silly ridiculous thing, it's okay to be disappointed about that.
I have two things. So
Okay.
I generally in my life try to like block out work time and then vacation time. So like work for many, many months the whole time and then take a week or two off, like a much longer period. So I had planned a trip to Hawaii. I am very happy that I didn't get that far into it, because there's nothing I hate more than canceling and shifting, and like I hate that stuff. But that was kind of supposed to be like a nice block of time to offset the previous chunk of work. And now I don't really think I'm going to take a vacation, because I don't want to take a vacation and just go nowhere. That's not going to be gratifying and give me the recharge that I need. So that's a little bit of a bummer. The other thing really that is not exciting for me at all is I'm in a long distance relationship. So we already only see each other once every 4 to 6 weeks. With all this stuff going on, could potentially be up to like 4 months or something, which is
Wow.
a ridiculously long time. The week that all this started and people stopped traveling, she was supposed to come for a few weeks. So it's like, that was after already, I think 5 or 6 weeks, plus whatever amount of time people are not supposed to be traveling, plus when our schedules actually line up again. So it may be a very, very long time before I get the actual physical presence of my significant other. But yeah, not super happy about that, but such is life.
Yeah, no, definitely. That is a big setback. And, it's definitely different. Actually, that just has me have gratitude that I'm not in a long distance relationship right now. So I appreciate that. But I have done long distance before, and I know how hard it can be. Even though we would like, usually it's a different experience when you can physically be with each other. It's tough. And I just thought of like, man, if me or my partner got the virus, then we wouldn't be able to kiss or touch each other for like, that's real tough. Yeah.
I'm glad that at least we have already been doing it for a while, so we have figured out some of the kinks. We've figured out enough to make it work like this.
Right.
If it would have been in the first few months, but it's not. So I'll take that one. I'll take that win.
To do today was to, just express what are we grateful and thankful for. And I think this is a really good not just in the midst of a crisis, but just a good practice in general. You're going to throw you off what you were planning to do, like regardless of viruses or not. So, having a gratitude mindset, I think has been for me, at least, being a great way to kind of like get out of the focus on all the negativity and like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, this sucks, life sucks kind of mentality. All right, so I'll start. Well, definitely the biggest thing I want to express gratitude for is for everyone on the globe for everyone, just like on the front line, the doctors and the nurses and all the personnel at the hospitals and everyone working like crazy. I'm trying to get like more testing available to like get more of this under control, because this is a new thing. So yeah, everyone who's working really hard, you know, who doesn't get to like work from home because they are there at the hospital dealing with all of this. I have gratitude that we have people that are willing to put themselves out there at risk for the sake of the community. And I think that's a really beautiful thing that I'm very grateful for, that I get to work from home. For my job, I don't usually deal with extremely sick people. I deal with like stress and anxiety. I do other things as a doctor, but not like the really sick people. So I'm not putting myself at risk in that way. Other things that I have gratitude for is that as of right now, all of my family members are healthy, and my boyfriend are all of us are healthy. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And that, you know, I don't know, sooner or later, maybe one of us is going to get it, and that's going to be that. And then I'm grateful that, right, my 94-year-old grandmother doesn't have it. Yeah, I'm actually grateful that, in some ways, I'm grateful that the wedding gets postponed, because I'm hoping this chaos dies down. Because originally, before it got like pandemic level, my grandma wasn't planning to come because she's obviously in the high risk category and has a weak immune system. I'm hoping this passes, that, you know, when the wedding gets rescheduled, I don't know if it's going to be a few months, a year, we're not sure yet, that she will be able to attend, and as well as like the other family members getting to attend, because more people were starting to like back out as guests. And I'm hoping this gives us time to like actually be together once the situation calms down. Gratitude in the business that I'm in is that I do get to work virtually, so it really didn't get to disrupt my life too much. And I have gratitude for, actually, random thing that I have gratitude for, I feel like this is lucky. The house that I moved into already had like bidets installed in all the toilets. So It's like a random thing that I don't always use it, and I still have like 12 rolls of toilet paper to last. I don't know how long that's gonna last me, but I'm like, last resort, if I do run out and I can't get any more, then, you know, the bidet is a good backup.
Yeah.
Like, so gratitude that's already in our house. And I have gratitude that I have food in my fridge, and that I have a roof over my head, and that I have just really great people in my life. Even though I'm isolating, I don't actually feel alone. I always feel like I have people I can count on to just be there for me if I'm feeling lonely, and people I just, yeah, it's easy to reach and talk with them, share what I'm dealing with them. So I have a lot of gratitude for that.
Yeah, so I had a couple things that I wanted to inject before I go, which is,
okay, sure.
I think a gratitude practice, like you were saying, even outside of the context of like world-class events happening, is really useful, because at any time, regardless of what's going on, we can put our focus on things that are going to make us miserable, or on things that are going to make us feel, I mean, grateful is one of the positive feelings, but doing a gratitude practice regularly just trains your mind to seek those things out. And in the past, I've been like a little bit skeptical of it, because sometimes it's like, well, like, what is the point of this? Like, yeah, I'm grateful for stuff, I don't need to take time to do it. But going through the actual practice is what wires your brain up to look for these things. So I think it's important to have these tools for instances like this, but the time to build them, and it's also useful in general life, but the time to build them is just always, because throughout this whole set of events, there are, and we've already had some conversation around it, but there are many, many, many things that are not quite working out right, and many, many, many things to be very, very grateful for. So it's all a matter of just like where your attention ends up, and by doing this regularly, we can make sure our attention ends up on things that make us, I don't want to say happy, because that's like people have different connotations around that, but at least make us feel better than focusing on all the things that aren't going right. Again, like we talked about before too, it's like good to accept the things like the frustrations and the sadness and these other feelings for other events,
Yeah.
but it's easy to get trapped there. So having
Right.
this gratitude practice makes it easier to kind of digest those things, deal with them however you need to, and then move into other things, right? There's a huge difference between being frustrated for 5 minutes and 5 days. And not that every situation is the same, but like the gratitude practice helps us move and shorten those periods. So as far as what I'm actually grateful for, I am grateful that I was able to travel kind of as this thing was building momentum and get closer to family. Because where I actually live, I don't have much family around. And then kind of the same as what you were saying, I have, as far as I know, everyone right now is relatively healthy, should be okay, not super high risk. And I'm also really grateful that, like I was saying before, it is a bummer that I'm not going to see my girlfriend for a while, but there's a very long period of time that we learned how to make things work at a distance. So I am confident it's not going to disrupt our relationship, besides being like, well, this is not fun, but like we'll be fine. It's not going to cause any major fights or problems. And then I'm also grateful for my job that I'm able to work remotely, because I know a lot of people are not able to do that. And also a lot of people are, and who knows how this will all come together, but losing income sources that they desperately need, right? Like in the same sense you're talking about small businesses that are also probably going to be impacted, individuals are also starting to see some of the impacts. So I'm grateful that I don't have that extra stress to really worry about. Also grateful that I'm able to have, like, you know, some space to actually work and get things done, because as people come home, I've heard stories of other people working with their whole family there and it being a big change and kind of stressful. So I'm glad I have that part kind of sorted out. I could do this for another 10 hours, but those are the things that I wanted to at least touch on.
Right. Yeah. But I noticed after I expressed all the things I'm grateful for, I feel mentally, emotionally just like happier in general, and just like appreciating the life that I have, and kind of it got me out of like focusing on all the disappointments, because I was really disappointed about not going CrossFit anymore. But now I feel like, okay, it's, you know, I have so many great things in my life that are going well, and you know, I could have it a lot worse compared to other people. So I feel very fortunate for what I do have.
Yeah, I also think it's interesting to note that I usually do a written gratitude practice, but doing it like back and forth as a conversation, I actually agree. The feeling part, it feels a lot lighter than when I do the writing one. I usually only do one thing when I write, but yeah, like the change in my mental state is a lot stronger than the writing one. So I guess just for anyone who does a gratitude practice, it might be nice to do it with someone else, or to vary up the style, because I'm pleasantly surprised by how different it has impacted me. Just
and maybe this could be for all of you at home, like stuck at home. You could do it with the people that you're trapped at home with. You know, I get you can get like a little cabin fever and you get a little crazy when you're all like together and none of you can leave, but this would definitely like ease that tension probably. Or if you're living alone, then, you know, getting on a FaceTime call with someone and just verbally doing it, I think it's going to help you feel a lot better for sure.
Yeah, I have one more question or like idea or thought to cover, which is, it sounds like your habits have been disrupted to some degree. How are you dealing with that? Like, obviously the CrossFit one is one. Is there other things that have been kind of gotten slammed that you need to adjust for?
Well, it's also factoring, I think it goes into like other people are going to be home. I'm used to working from home, like disrupting my habits, adjusting for that. Like, where are you going to work? Where am I going to work? How are we using the, are we going to distract each other? Figuring out that balance. And yeah, I'm still figuring out my new routine and getting adjusted to all of this. I think us are doing that. I also just thought of another thing that I had gratitude for, because I was just working with a client earlier today virtually, and he has to work from home, but he also has his home. So it makes it really hard to work at home. So I'm grateful that I don't have kids as of now, although possibly next week my niece and nephew might be staying over because they're going to be banned from school too. So I don't know what that's going to look like. So that might disrupt my routine even more, because it is like with the kids around, they're like 2 and 4. And, they love attention, and, it's hard to multitask with that. So I might end up having to work at like a physical office, which I can technically. So I think hopefully, yeah, we'll see.
It sounds like from your demeanor that the way that you've chosen to kind of frame some of this stuff is through like, it's probably not going to be perfect, but I'm going to do my best and kind of roll with the punches, which that's the reason I asked, is because I feel like a lot of people, all their habits and all their routines and everything is just thrown off. And I hadn't really thought about it before asking, but I think that's probably a good frame to try to wrap your head around everything, is don't expect things to be the same. And the adjustment period will probably take a while, and things are going to get messed up, and you might miss some workouts, or you might have extra small people running around trying to get attention. But I think everyone is somewhat in the same boat, that their normal routines have been disrupted. So I was kind of trying to figure it out for myself. And then I think that's really helpful, is like, I don't need perfection. And by perfection, I mean even the same thing I was doing before. I just need to do whatever I can. So that's why I asked.
That's a really good point. And just not being attached, like it's helpful to like create a routine somehow, map it out, but, being okay with it if it doesn't go perfectly as planned, because life isn't always perfect, and no one could have predicted this could have happened to us a few months ago. So it's like, yeah, life happens sometimes, and you have to just roll with whatever life gets. And, sometimes that disrupts what you want to accomplish, and maybe you don't accomplish as much as you want, but you're still alive. Have that gratitude. Do you have any other thoughts on what people can do while they're at home?
Yeah, I think just the biggest thing, at least for me, and that will probably be helpful to everyone else, is a lot of people have had this feeling of like, everything is so weird. Everything is so off.
Right.
And I think just accepting that those feelings, like getting in touch with those feelings and not fighting like, oh, but I was supposed to do this, or things were supposed to be this way. I've been dealing with that a lot, and I think I've been hearing it a lot. So I think just trying to recognize that like, we are all going to have to do things differently than we expected, and holding on to those expectations is not going to be useful in any way. It's not really like an exercise, but I guess it's more of a call to action to continually, because I've had to get this thought back in my head multiple times. I'm actually getting to the point where I'm thinking about, because I have like certain things that I review every day, putting a statement like that into what I review, right? And I don't want to put words on anyone, but in my own words, some variant of just like, things are different. There are outside circumstances. I have to accept. I have to accept it.
Right. Yeah. You can't control what's happening right now, but you can control like how you are being about what's happening. And that's the difference, I think. Yeah.
And it goes back to kind of that half-life of emotion type thing, right? Where these thoughts keep coming up. Like I keep getting worried, like work, for example, it keeps popping into my head. Like, I'm not doing enough. and I have to keep reining myself in. But having those thoughts, or I guess that like backup statement type thing, to remind me that yes, I'm not producing the same amount that I would normally, but things are not normal. There has to be some time to adjust.
Right. Yes, exactly. Good frame of mind, I think, to get across. Yeah, if the things are not normal, you cannot expect to produce what you would under normal circumstances. And whatever you do, like, yeah, you did your best, and that's all you can do. Yeah.
And then the one last thing that I had is for actually being alone, like alone. I'm not doing that now. I came home to be with people, but normally I live alone and have a lot of time. I think the important thing is, and it's a little bit different in this context, but to find ways to fill your time, because I feel like a lot of people are getting a lot of extra time, and then what happens is, like, after X amount of hours of not having anything to do, like frustration and boredom and whatnot. So for me, when I've been living alone, always having kind of some goals or things to work on has been key. And that's so that when that empty time opens up, then I have like this list or whatever, and I can fall back on like, oh yeah, I did want to learn how to sing better. It's like, I don't know when else I'm going to do this. This random thing, but like, okay, cool. I'm going to look up a bunch of YouTube videos and figure out how to do this. And it sounds super simple, but for me, at least, the difference between having unstructured free time and just having like some ideas and activities, massively different, both in terms of what I get done, but also just how I feel.
Oh, absolutely. I agree 100%. Like, when it's unstructured, I'm still working on like getting my new structures. And actually that's what I've been slacking on. Like, usually I go in every day and like plan out my day of what I'm going to accomplish. But now that like things have shifted, I haven't been doing that. And I know there's still so many house things that I need to get done that I've been putting off that I could do now. I have that time and yeah, it's like opportunities to learn new things. There's so many things on my bucket list. Actually, singing is on that list that I've been putting off for over a year, that I like literally what you suggested, watching YouTube videos to practice my singing. I haven't been doing that. And that's been like, oh yeah, I want to do that. And now I can literally put in my calendar, practice singing and do that, as well as these other things that I want to accomplish. So really, I feel like boredom is really your responsibility in a way. I feel like I could never really be bored personally, because there's just way too many things that I want to take on that I don't feel like I get bored. But if you're out there feeling bored, start creating a list of all the things that you want to get done that's doable from your home, or house projects, or things you want to learn that you can watch videos from home, or like people you want to talk to. You've been meaning to catch up with, like Uncle Harry, call him. Easy. Yeah. So yeah, I think there's just endless amount of things that we could be doing. And now is just a great time to do those things. You just have to actually take the action though, rather than just thinking about like, yeah, I want to do it, but not taking the action. All right. Well, yeah, we'll see how everything plays out. And, we're still here for you to provide happiness for the world in the face of all the chaos and crisis going on. Yeah, so we'll see you next time.
Yeah, see ya.
You can check out more content at howtohappy.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you can stay up to date on the videos. We've also got a Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook that you can check out. See you next time.